What do you find really annoying lately? Story 1. People who walk ahead of you on a footpath knowing you are going faster than them, but they refuse to step aside and let you pass. Boils moppish. Answer. The worst is when they stop to chat with other people, and only just when you're about to pass them do they decide to keep walking. I'll usually stop to let them gain some more distance, only to find they stopped again just around the corner. I'll stop again, and of course they also stop. If I don't stop, they won't either. If I walk uncomfortably fast to get ahead of them, they speed up. It's like these people insist on ruining my walks. Story 2. The pressure to be constantly happy and productive. Sometimes I just have a bad day and that's okay, but the world seems to demand a smile 24/7. Otherwise, you're negative or lazy. Story 3. People and the entitlement they seem to have in grocery stores. Like seriously, you and your entire family have to stop directly in the middle of a heavy traffic aisle to talk and BS, and they're totally aware you're standing there waiting for them to move, and they just don't give a darn. Story 4. People who don't read pay attention and then proceed to ask questions that are easily answered by reading paying attention. Story 5. How few people seem to be willing or able to call out the bad people or ideas on their own side of the political spectrum. And if you ask them, they just redirect to something bad about the other side. Story 6. The fact that I need an app for everything or need to have an account for everything makes me want to throw chairs. Story 7. Every food chain, gas station, and grocery store having a rewards program or whatever they want me to sign up for. Story 8. The ASMR fingernail tapping. These influencers need to take it down a notch. Also ads. There are more of them all the time, and they're all annoying as hell. Answer. If it's YouTube, please just accept giving up the YouTube app features and download the Brave browser on the App Store. Switch trackers and ad blockers to aggressive. You'll get no ads anymore at all. I will never go back to the YouTube app now. Honestly, I would accept some ads, but like you said, the amount you get now on top of how bad they are, mobile game ads constantly, I just can't anymore. YouTube pushed it too far. That browser is amazing for YouTube. Now I can fall asleep listening to podcast on YouTube without, in the middle of it, getting to an ad that runs for 40 minutes that I have to manually pick up my phone to skip or it won't continue my content. LOL. Story 9. Constantly being tired. I've been on sick leave for 5 months, but doing just the tiniest chores completely exhausts me. Story 10. Everything turning into a subscription, apps stuffing in AI pop-ups I didn't ask for, and websites replacing a 2-line answer with a 12-minute autoplay video. Also, QR code menus that never load. Story 11. Websites that block the whole page with accept cookies, sign up, and enable notifications before I've read a single sentence. Let me breathe for 5 seconds. Story 12. Family not understanding why I, a gay woman, am not willing to agree to disagree with my neo-Nazi nephew who thinks women should be required to stay home and have kids for the good of the country. Story 13. Gestapo ICE taking people away because of the color of their skin when they go to pick up their kids from school or immigration court. Story 14. ICE. National Guard in Chicago. Black Hawk helicopters dropping out unregistered personnel into a black neighborhood to terrorize people in their beds. Story 15. I just dislike the fact that we don't seem to have manners anymore. Or at least some of us don't. It wouldn't hurt people to have a little bit of decency. Story 16. Was in my wheelchair today outside, trying to get past a bunch of people in a group. They looked at me and didn't even move. Took up the whole sidewalk. Story 17. E-bikes moving way too fast on mixed-use paths. In my city, they're actually technically illegal to use on the paths, due to the only motorized vehicles being allowed on them being wheelchairs and government vehicles. Seems like a matter of time before someone gets seriously injured by one, and the taxpayers foot a settlement due to police incompetence. Story 18. The CPA who did my taxes, followed by lawn service who told me to mark all sprinklers' heads, then never mentioned that they were on work order. Story 19. People who listen to their phones without headphones in public. Demons. Seems to be happening a lot lately as well. Story 20. I get that this is an American website with a predominantly American audience, but having 80 of content in places like Best Of and videos be about your political shenanigans is getting old. Story 21. Online shopping. I just moved into a new place and I'm trying to research bed frames and other things. It's next to impossible to actually find quality products anymore. Everything online is just redirected to terrible quality products off Amazon and Walmart third-party sellers. On top of that, 80 of reviews are fake and I'm not sure what to even trust. Dead internet theory is becoming more and more relevant. Story 22. YouTube and the like applying AI filters on shorts without permission from the creator. Fudge all the AI. Story 23. When I was a lad and you hit the back button on a device or piece of software, it took you to the page you were previously on. Story 24. People who only quote-unquote care about things when it gets them good internet points. People constantly talking about Gaza, but turning a blind eye to Sudan, Yemen, Iran, the Congo, and many more. Story 25. Getting my account suspended for an offending comment. Looking to appeal and finding the comment in question removed. How are you supposed to file an intelligent appeal when Reddit won't let you know what you said? Story 26. People who aren't even at least going the speed limit. You driving too fast isn't affecting me in any negative manner, and that's between you and the police as long as you are safely going over the speed limit. You driving too slowly is affecting and negatively impacting me. Also, boomers on speakerphone talking to other boomers, and everyone is yelling, and everyone can hear the whole conversation except for the said boomers. Story 27. Playing video games online. There's too much sweating and casual, not enough in between. I either curb stomp, get absolutely destroyed, or if it's team-based cooperative, it's insanely unbalanced. Story 28. Every time my dog Dolly rings her bell to go out and pee, but then stands still in the yard sniffing the air for the requisite pee break time, and then waits till I'm in a video meeting to ring the bell again, as loud as she can, to indicate that she swears she really needs to go this time. And then when I excuse myself because I don't want her to pee inside, she was actually just desperate to eat the maple spinners. And okay, she just voluntarily stopped squirrel watching to come lay in my arms and lick my hands with love in her eyes. So annoyance canceled. Dolly can never do anything wrong ever. Story 29. The fixation on Trump. He's the distraction, the patsy. It's Miller and the Heritage Foundation people we need to be pushing into the spotlight. They are the ones driving this shoot. Story 30. I have come to the conclusion that anyone who identifies with the Trump administration lacks any sort of common sense or critical thinking skills. There will be studies on how America, the world at this point, has been so far propagandized. Story 31. I don't live in the U.S., and I just want to get through a single day without hearing Trump's fudge name. We aren't even a year in yet. Story 32. Everything is being created with AI, and I find it annoying now. Going back to analog to stop seeing this crap seems like my plan in the future. Story 33. YouTube videos that are 10 minutes long with a backstory for a tutorial I need that could take 1-2 minutes. When I find a quick to-the-point video now, I make it a point to like and sub because they didn't waste my fudge time. Story 34. Watching the USA devolve into a fascist country where their own citizens are supporting a despot by dressing up as icy, pretending their lives matter more than other people's and kidnapping men, women, and children at will. That is, until the country wakes up. Maca, make America kind again. Story 35. Suggested subreddits on my custom feed. Didn't used to be a thing. Now it is. I can tolerate the adverts, but I am so sick of because you visited, or trending in your area, or people following X also follow Y. If I wanted to explore and follow new subs, I would search them out or go to the trending tab or whatever. I now have hundreds of subs on mute because I don't want to see their content or have no interest. But now I have no choice but to see them. Horrible change to Reddit. Story 36. I have lived in the UK for about 9 years. Everyone has been so nice to my face. But now if I read the news, public opinion seems to be in favor of building a big slingshot and deporting me to the fudge moon. I just wanted to live with my husband. Story 37. How so people are content to pretend our dystopian descent isn't happening. On a less serious note, shoppers at the grocery store that park their cart on one side of the aisle and then stand there staring at the shelves on the opposite side of the aisle while standing next to their cart, basically blocking the whole darn aisle. Story 38. IDK if it's just my area, but it feels like people gradually forgot how to drive. Either that or everyone's collectively given up. Story 39. YouTube ads. Specifically on the TV, it is unusable. Feels like 30-second minimum these days, and it's like every 15 minutes on TV. Story 40. Brain rot. Politicians. In general, the rise of right-wing parties. Unfriendly, egotistical humans who only think for themselves and treat other people like doormats. Be it online, on the street while driving, during phone calls or while grocery shopping. Social media. Influencer. Story 41. When you're walking through an entrance aisle and someone sees that you are trying to get past, but purposely stand in the middle of it in your way to try and make you step to the side and let them pass first. Like, no, dumbass, there's room for both of us to pass, just scoot to your side. Story 42. Reddit and American politics. On my main account, I'm on the most benign subs. Think nail polish, LOL. And even fudge there. Politics are working in. Story 43. Far-right flags shaggers shouting pedo at people who disagree with their politics. Seen about 10 such recorded instances in the last week. Absolutely boils my piss, but I suppose that's what they want. UK BTW. Story 44. Drivers. Either they are going too fast or too slow. 5 over or it should be the way. They all think their vehicle is a semi-trailer and swing wide or take up the whole lane in a parking lot. They're too distracted with their phones to pay attention to stoplights and traffic. Story 45. The constant and relentless stream of American news being shoved in my face on every corner of the internet. Story 46. I will be actively conversing with someone, or even eating, and they feel the need to check their phone. I'm usually like, Story 47. I cycle, and the amount of people who just step into the road without looking because they're on their phones is insane. Story 48. Seeing any video of ICE agents who are POC. I dislike them all, but seeing them participate like they're not waiting their turn rage baits me. Story 49. Republicans being very blatant and obvious with their over-the-top lies, and for some reason people just believe them. Story 50. Modern slang, sayings like, I'm just a girl, pop off, king, queen, rizcap, let them cook, are all just so stupid. Story 51. Only one thing? How long have you got? Music everywhere. Can we please have silence sometimes? Loud music in places meant for conversation. Motorcyclists who blast their music. Brain-rattling bass anywhere. People who beep 1 nanosecond after the lights tune green. People who can't shut the hell up. People who can't shut the hell up and think the assembled party is interested in their supplements, what the doctor said, their crafts, they grandbabies. Book discussion groups with no leader. The dumpster fire that is the U.S. government, especially executive and judiciary. Increasingly macabre and larger-than-life Halloween decorations. Christmas in October. Also, get the hell off my lawn. Somebody may have issues. Story 52. That the Americans aren't standing up and fighting against the fascism kleptocracy that has completely overtaken their country. Story 53. Stupid believes, or people that refuses to listen to science, history, or news that they don't like. Story 54. AI karma farming posts on Reddit and the thousands of commenters who type books getting all upset thinking they are real. Story 55. How people stop their carts in the middle of an aisle, chat with friends or family members, while each of them block the aisle not caring who else would like to walk past. And they appear annoyed if you want to walk through, even when you say, excuse me. OSA, go off to the side, park your carts where they aren't blocking everybody, and talk all day if you want to. Story 56. People loudly on FaceTime in a store. It's usually Ross and they speak Spanish, so I can't even eavesdrop. Story 57. My upstairs neighbor who decides to do jumping jacks, build furniture, and walk around with the grace of a demolition ball at the most unsocial hours possible. Story 58. People in grocery stores that hog up the whole aisle with their cart and give you a dirty look when you need to go buy them, or when they stop right in the middle of the aisle. Story 59. When people don't do their job or act slow, incompetent, because they still clearly don't want to do their job. Story 60. My boss, love the job, dislike the leadership, just feels like I get conflicting information and then get in trouble for not being decisive on the conflicting information. Story 61. The use of the term spicy in strange ways like neurospicy or others which are not only not in a dictionary, not good for Scrabble, but don't mean anything. And the user of such words often thinks it makes them different or cool. It is yet another non-word, usually as a self-descriptor. If some has a describable disorder, tendency, or even disease, there are actually terms for those. Story 62. People on the internet that comment on every small thing celebrities do. Just because they're famous doesn't mean you have to publicly express your dislike just so your friends can see you're not a supporter and have morals. Who honestly cares they're humans? Story 63. Prices going up in service or quality of whatever you're buying is going down. It's getting to a point. Story 64. The fact that I have to wake up at a set time and be in a building for 8 hours, 5 days a week just to exist. Story 65. I know this is small ASF, and if this annoys me, my life is good. But there's this show called Peacemaker. It's a DC Comics show where they are in a dimension full of Nazis. There's a character in another connected show named G.I. Robot. His whole thing is eliminate Nazis. I'm annoyed we didn't see G.I. Robot isn't in the Nazi dimension. It's a golden opportunity. Story 66. I'm in a group chat with 2 other friends. Twice lately, they've made plans to do shoot in said group chat and just excluded me. Like, use a sidebar chat to do that. This last one, they excluded me and my kid too. That stings. Story 67. Long posts with no paragraph breaks. News posts or headlines that someone slams someone else, or any of the 15 variations of it. Story 68. People giving me great advice that I should adhere to. I'm just stubborn, and it's not what I want to hear. Even though I know it's in my best interest, I think I'll give in and listen. Story 69. People who defend the Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 port's insane pricing simply because it's an amazing game with graphical upgrades. I love both, but I'm not paying the current asking prices. Story 70. People that ask about your family, i.e. mom or dad. I don't know, Glenda. Why don't you go by and see, you nosy heifer? Story 71. Trend chasers. Saying phrases you normally wouldn't say or doing things you wouldn't normally do. The first part is very common on this platform, actually. Story 72. Knowing full well that I have a social media addiction, yet I can't seem to pull myself away from checking Reddit all the time. Story 73. Scammers. I can't believe spam and phishing are still so prevalent. Vulnerable people getting romance finance scammed out of their life savings with no recourse. It's absurd. Story 74. Charging things. My kid's tablet, my wife's phone, my 2 portable lamps, my vape, my kid's dinosaur nightlight, my other kid's panda nightlight, my electric drill batteries, my Ryobi tool batteries, my battery-powered Hoover. The list goes on. It's driving me insane. My kid's rechargeable unicorn toy, my kid's Nintendo thingy, my laptop. Arg. Story 75. Old people driving on country roads in the UK. I would be completely behind a second driving test when we get to a certain age. I live in an area with a high population of OAPs, and I'm constantly stuck behind them doing 30 and a 60, even stopping down to 20, which I find is dangerous, especially around blind corners. It might sound trivial, but it's a major annoyance for me, especially as I have to plan my routes around this. Story 76. The constant drive for more money and more profit, more greed and less empathy than ever before. The unrelenting focus on productivity. The fact that you'll spend the best years of your life working to make money for someone else. Story 77. Customers at Dollar General showing up 5 minutes before we close and then asking about every deal that we have. Also, people showing up without money or identification for cigarettes and adult beverage. Story 78. The low threshold of the average person's attention span, 100 blaming TikTok. It's seriously gotten ridiculous. Like I can't even talk to people for more than 10 seconds before they pull out their phone or get distracted by something else. I have ADHD and I have never been even close to this bad. Honestly, it infuriates me. Story 79. Food. Every time I feed myself, all it does is reset the timer on the next time that I have to scrounge up yet more nourishment. It never ends. I keep having to eat again. It's so stupid and I'm so over it. Story 80. People who don't put their carts up in the corral. People who don't turn left after the green arrow disappears, but the green light is still on. If there is no left turn on green, you can still go. Story 81. Friends who decide to talk you behind your back for ages and then blame you when the friendship ends. Story 82. Politicians who care more about themselves than the good of the country and biased news people articles. And I'm talking both parties. Story 83. When a woman drives to her presumed husband's office to pick him up, and then meekly slides across to the passenger seat so the man can drive. So infantilizing and sexist. Story 84. My cat is sitting feet away, watching me heading towards my narrow kitchen entrance. He waits until my leading foot is just about touching the entryway, and he dramatically darts in front of me, winding in between my legs to get into the kitchen first. I usually end up tripping. He acts annoyed that I was in his way. He wants me dead. Story 85. People recording everything on a night out. Gone are the days of letting yourself go as you worry your drunken escapades will find their way onto social media or Snapchat stories. Story 86. Minigames in video games. It's just a way to pad the runtime. It's especially bad when the minigame is required to continue the story. Story 87. Other drivers. I don't think I'm necessarily an aggressive driver, but when I drive, I have somewhere to be. It feels like, lately, people just float through life with nowhere to go. Story 88. People who lean on or hug the poles in trains or on the tube, especially when it's busy and there's nowhere else to hold on to. Story 89. Almost any short-form video content such as TikTok, Reels, etc. I mean, I've always found that genre annoying, but it seems to be taking over every form of social media lately. My friends won't stop sending Reels to me, and I'm a grown jerk woman, not a 15-year-old girl. Story 90. People who stop right in front of the doors at a store, etc. People who block aisles with their carts and stand on the opposite side in grocery stores. People who buy lottery tickets at anywhere that sells other. Shoot. Story 91. Spam scam texts. I get around 5 to 10 a day. It's extremely annoying when you're job hunting and hoping for a text from a prospective employer, only to find it's another spam text. Story 92. Jobs that don't give you feedback when they reject your application. I understand they have 100s to look through, but I want to know if there's something I'm doing wrong that can help me improve. Job searching is soul-destroying. Story 93. I'm a teacher. Basically, the fact that I have to create math lessons without using the numbers 6, 7, or 67. Story 94. When I'm driving on a congested street and the driver in front of me thinks it's appropriate to hit the brakes, turn the hazard lights on, and just put their car in park. I remember a time when this was not the norm in my area. Also, e-bike riders that go over 25 miles per hour and don't follow the same rules that motorcyclists follow. Story 95. The 10 million little cuts to 1 second later in online videos people make. So it's just a video that is missing a frame or two every 2 seconds. Drives me insane. Story 96. People who act elitist about small, irrelevant things. For example, my coworker who acts like he's better than everyone else because he always has the newest Switch games and thinks we know fudge all about them. Story 97. Just found out about a meme called 67. And yeah, sort of out of touch, as I am like 20 and don't use Insta or TikTok. So that meme is, IDK, what's funny about it? Just annoying. Story 98. Everything. Society. The state of the world. Us as populations. AI. Social media. Influencers. Just everything, honestly. Story 99. Supermarkets that are making and still have 0 cashiers. So you have to take a potentially full trolley to the self-checkout and stack all your stuff on a little stainless steel shelf, conjuring your inner Andy Goldsworthy as your bank account permits, nearing the supermarket ceiling. Then, you have to somehow repack them in your bags into your cart while the machine harangues you incessantly. I'm not going to name names, but it's on Quay Street and used to be called Countdown. Parsimonious management at best, disrespectful at worst. Story 100. When there's plenty, and I mean plenty, of parking spaces around, and they still insist on parking right next to me. Story 101. People that live in neighborhoods have outside cats. They shoot in mulch, piss on bushes, are a general nuisance. Story 102. The increased ads on YouTube. I consider paying attention to ads to be one of the responsibilities of an honorable viewer, but not when they keep changing the agreement in their own favor. Story 103. The amount of shoot I have been made aware of purely against my will. Of note lately, Hassan streamer Zeus who his dog on stream, some rapper murderer, dive. Story 104. My neighbor who's living down under me. Our house has thin walls and I told him several times not to speak so loud in the evening. Also, knocking on the floor doesn't interest him. Just when I call the concierge, he's calm for days. It's annoying. Story 105. that with conservatives and Republicans, they are normalizing bad faith engagement. They literally tell themselves who their opponents are without ever engaging. And it's the worst faith interpretation that no one believes. They aren't doing politics. They normalize lying and constantly switch between subjects, or broaden a subject, or look microscopically based on what benefits them, never doing a holistic approach. It's so negative about America, but claims they are the patriots, while flying MAGA and Confederate flags. Whenever people on the right engage with more than college kids, it's embarrassing how they have to resort to, "I don't know about that," or just lying. It's why Kirk only did college kids, and some of them made him look like a fool. Imagine him having to deal with someone like Stephen Bunnell. He would be destroyed in the first back and forth. They cry about no one will debate them when they won't take debates with anyone who could contend with them. The left has been offering and trying to engage, and the right rightly doesn't because their lack of principles and policy. Honestly, I don't know why Fox wasn't dissolved or hasn't lost all its viewers after the Dominion lawsuit. They lied knowingly to their viewers, and people still trust that? It breaks any reasonable person's mind. America is embarrassingly stupid when it comes to politics. Trump tried to do an insurrection, and people will argue the 600 or so violent criminals, the number that had committed violence and charges, were patriots when they chanted about hanging our VP. I'm a center liberal, but I used to share some conservative principles. I see no principles in the party, just dislike and lying, riling up people. Mark my words, if Trump doesn't die in office, he will either not allow an election or will try to get around things to get a third term. He did it the last time. Why on earth would he not do it again and be more successful since he eliminated all the people of conscience or principles, knowing he can't have people loyal to the Constitution or America do milk the presidency for all the money, favor, and accolades he can extract of it? It costs us all the goodwill we had with every other country in the world. Story 106. Cars that speed towards me as I'm crossing the crosswalk even though it is my turn. Deal with it every day. Being alive to type this at this point is a miracle. Story 107. OMG, for me, it's my brother's girlfriend. She recently sold her house, so she temporarily moved it with me, my fiance, and my brother. It's super annoying because she has selective anxiety and needs someone to go with her half the time she has to do errands. So tired of being asked daily. Story 108. People who drive slow in the left lane. Oh wait, that's bothered me for decades. Okay, I got one. People who don't know how to merge onto a highway. Oh wait, I know. People who wait too long to turn on a short green arrow, so the people behind them get stuck. Another one that's not really lately. You know, in the 90s, a family member gave me an electronic device that could go on my dashboard. There were 4 buttons. One made a machine gun noise. One was a rocket launcher. I think one was a grenade. But my personal favorite was thermonuclear device. Yeah, that button got pushed a lot on my morning commute. Unless 30 years ago is considered lately, I guess I don't have anything to say. Story 109. People not giving a darn about their jobs, even though they are being paid at the upper end of the trade. Story 110. Americans booing. In baseball during the Canadian national anthem and during the Ryder Cup. This is trashy. Story 111. When I am talking to someone and they start doing something else, like checking their phone texting. Grr. Story 112. Everyone that can't think for themselves and have to ask permission to do everything. You don't need to tell me you're doing your job. You don't need to tell me you're doing XYZ. You don't need to ask me to do your job. Just do it. Story 113. Entitled people with zero patience. I work in a WFH call center in the waste management industry as a sales customer service agent. So far this week, I've had like 18 or so people scream at me because they decided to wait until the last minute to order trash cans and tell me how it's unacceptable that they can't get them within the hour or even the next day. I'm a new agent, so complaining to me will get you nowhere. I have zero say in when the truck's dispatched to deliver the containers. I've been called lazy, useless, worthless, have been told that they want to sue the company solely because of my incompetence. Somehow I am the one to blame, despite them waiting to call after they've had a week's worth of trash piling up. I'm here to help and answer questions. I'm not here to be some fuckhead's verbal punching bag. I do not get paid enough. Story 114. How hard it is to find a phone game that doesn't drown you with ads. Even worse is some of them have gotten slick and will make the initial gameplay ad-free so they can hit you with a review request before they start dumping ads on you after every single round. It would be one thing if they were like YouTube ads, but these ads are intentionally more annoying for no fudge reason. It'll make you sit through a 30-second ad, then take you to a screen where you have to wait to exit out, then take you to another fudge screen where you have to wait again to exit out. Like, do they really think these ads make me want to have anything to do with their shoot-jerk games? Story 115. Physique inflation. Nowadays, a physique like this is considered average, simply because of how high the standards have been pushed from influencers taking and promoting steroids. Recently, I saw a guy with a really impressive body, think Will Tennyson type build, a little smaller but the same rough idea, who had been training for 5 or so years and was showing off his progress. I shoot you not, the comments were full of people telling him he looked mid, or that his body was achievable in a year. Of course, there were also the 7 rest days a week and 3 sets of messing about jokes. I never realized how bad the issue had become until I saw those comments. It's so irritating seeing all the armchair lifters who barely walk 100 steps a day hyper-analyze and criticize people for not looking good enough. Story 116. There's been a few adverts for food products, Old El Paso kits, McDonald's, Just Eat, etc., lately that show extremely gross close-ups of people's mouths chomping on food. It's straight up disgusting to me to see what I can only assume is a GoPro strapped to a fork about to go cave diving into a gaping maw of someone's mouth as they chow down on a cheeseburger. Nope, gross. Stop it. Story 117. This stupid Adobe ad about assets I keep seeing before videos. Like, hi, we are Adobe. We used to be all about creativity. Our products were what you learned about in school, but you didn't want to pay an exorbitant fee. So now we will just push AI and have boring corporate ads about charts and graphs. Story 118. Parents who think the world revolves around their kids tired of hearing other parents glorifying their kid, showing me pictures for every conversation, how much they grown or how cute they are. Your kids are only special to you. Please, shut up about them. Lol, I'm a dad. Don't have them as my wallpaper, nor do I talk about them. I love my kids, but I know they're only special to me. I make sure they don't need praise from the rest of the world. Story 119. People that don't follow common courtesy. The biggest example of this is letting people off the train before trying to get on. Yet so many people decide to try to push past those getting off. Story 120. People who stare at their phones while walking down the street with zero regard for the world around them. Story 121. TV show and movie sound mixes that are so sludgy and muddy, you can't even understand what the characters are saying. I have a home theater that is the envy of many of my friends. Great surround sound. You can pick up shards of glass in a movie car crash or a third bassoon in a musical piece you can't on a regular system. And I still need to turn the subtitles on at times to understand what is being said. Story 122. When driving, people walk when is red light and they don't give a fudge. Cyclists who think they have all the priority, an electric scooter. Conspirationists who think everything is a lie and have theory about everything. And stability and comfort is a real dream killer. Story 123. Married men continuously friend requesting me on every social media platform with their profile picture of them with their wife. Bro, why? Go home and kiss your wife and stop making her look like an idiot. It's embarrassing. Story 124. How everyone seems glued to their phones all the time. You can't even have a casual conversation without someone checking notifications mid-sentence. It's kind of funny, but also exhausting. Story 125. I've been noticing more often lately that people are very quick to defend the perfect strangers in the conversation that someone is complaining about. And for what reason? Someone is venting, and your first thought is to invalidate their feelings and defend someone that you know absolutely nothing about. Oh, but what if? What if they needed help, etc.? Okay, but what if they were just a jerk? Let people vent, darn. Story 126. People assume if you say anything critical of a Democrat that you are a Trumper. Yep, 77 million people voted for Trump, and the other 8 billion people on the planet believe everything Democrats do is awesome. Story 127. People on public transport watching videos or listening to music without headphones. People having shouting conversations on public transport. People being completely oblivious to others on public transport. Not giving up seats for elderly or disabled people. Not moving out of the way. Making you climb over them to the window seat rather than just moving over. Basically people and public transport. Story 128. People who don't look where the fudge they're going in goddamn grocery stores. I work in a grocery store, and I work there a lot, and the amount of people I almost run over and run into on a daily basis is frankly astonishing to me. 85 of the time, I'm coming with a noisy fudge cart, so you've had an auditory clue before I've even entered their line of fudge sight, and the remaining 15 of the time, I'm dragging a huge pallet that I can't stop on a dozen dimes, let alone one. I almost physically ran over a lady today. Granted, I wasn't using a cart and it was just me, but she came out of an aisle without looking, and I had to stop on my tiptoes and I grazed her shoulder, and she looked at me like I was a jerk. Lady, you entered the grocery store highway from an alley, and I was in the left lane, which is for crime. Speeding, and the people that think I can drag my 3-foot-wide pallet through an 18-inch gap fudge blows my mind. If I'm dealing with an empty pallet, there's a 60% chance I'm just carrying that meanie out back instead of using a pallet jack, because it's just easier most times. Story 129. Emails that are just advertising shoot. 10 off of, how many times do I have to unsubscribe? I got another one while reading through this post. Story 130. People who scream that every story told on here is fake, unless there is actual evidence, which there almost always is not. I just want to shake them and go, why does it matter? The internet points are fake. Also, I believe in giving people the benefit of the doubt in case 1, they actually need advice, or 2, someone else reading it can benefit from any advice given. Story 131. The craze of reseller culture. Sucks to try to collect anything, even though I understand some people use it as a side hustle. Story 132. The fact that I can't seem to escape this all-consuming black cloud of negativity lately. Anytime I'm online, Reddit, Facebook, TikTok, news sites, etc., there are nothing but posts about how bad everything is. I don't disagree that personally, from my liberal perspective, things are the worst they've ever been in my lifetime as someone who follows politics. But holy shoot, I can't escape it, and it's eating me alive lately. I find myself not even wanting to be on social media because there's an endless supply of people who are either completely defeatist, laughing at those people, and talking about how happy they are that the defeatists are feeling so miserable, or people who create content tailored specifically to upset you so you comment on it. Story 133. Cyclists somehow being entitled to the roads, sidewalks, and anywhere else they darn please. Sick of these male body part flying by when I'm walking with my kids, and they still have the gall to yell at me to move over. Story 134. Colleagues at work who message on Teams like this after every thought. A new message between each break. Story 135. Not many sidewalks in my neighborhood. People who walk down the road on the side of the street with their backs facing oncoming traffic drive me insane. They're just waiting to get smacked by some idiot staring at his GPS or cell phone. Yesterday, I passed a young mother pushing a stroller with a baby in it, while her older child, a toddler, was walking beside her. There was also a small dog on a leash. She was chatting away on her cell phone. I was just waiting for the dog or the toddler step in front of my car. She had no fudge idea I was coming up behind her. I mean, dude, walk facing oncoming traffic? Did they stop teaching this shoot in school? Story 136. Scams everywhere and dishonest marketing, etc. I got scammed very stupidly, and yes, I should have known better, but that doesn't make it 100% my fault. Bad people deceiving well-meaning people for money or anything else is just the lowest of the low behavior. It honestly, no pun intended, includes everything from large corporations to politics, and even small businesses be scams too. Beyond tired of it. When it comes down to it, anybody lying, cheating, and being deceitful at others' expense deserve the worst karma. Story 137. Honestly, when people say, let's hop on a quick call, and that quick call steals an hour of my life I'll never get back. Story 138. Lately, when coming back from taking my kid to school, there's this jerk in a Tahoe who will make a left turn past a roundabout the wrong way. They're going to hit someone. Story 139. People bragging about cooking sous vide. You literally did nothing. No one wants to see your fish tank steak. Learn to cook. Story 140. When people place great emphasis on the newly formed suffix ish, for example, it looks perfect, ish. Story 141. People who don't thank you for getting the door. especially when they aren't necessarily close to it. And on the reverse end, people who don't hold the door when you are right behind them. Oh, and also people who listen to music on their phones super loud in public, like in the store or elevators. I find it ignorant and annoying AF. Story 142. When people are bouncing their legs in an exam, and you can see it out of the corner of your eye while you are trying to focus on your paper. Story 143. People sitting in their cars at gas stations playing with their phone, not getting gas anymore, but blocking the pump. Story 144. The smell of plant substance everywhere. It's endless. And I'm saying this as someone who takes edibles pretty frequently. Nothing against those that smoke, just wish it wasn't covering every inch of my city. Story 145. Walmart employees pulling online orders with their gigantic blue carts, blocking a large portion of items and acting like you're in their way. One time, 5 of them blocked the whole cheese section having a conversation. Story 146. People just not washing their hands, especially after using the toilet. I've been seeing it more and more lately. It's so frustrating. Almost makes me miss COVID times. Story 147. People who think they can do your job better than you, but don't have the background or experience. Fudge right off. Story 148. People suddenly opening their car door in a narrow street to get out of their car without looking for traffic. Annoys me so much. Complete lack of awareness. Story 149. I'm a custodian at a school. The number of grown adults walking across my wet floor when they could easily go around is bullshit. I don't get mad easy, but it pisses me slick off. Story 150. People that read or hear anything and believe it without critical thought or researching if it's actually true. I've given up talking to most people. Story 151. People who don't follow the time we agreed to meet to. Like, girl, I won't wait for you for 30 minutes or more. FCK Filipino time or whatever you call it on your country. Story 152. Just unreliable people in general, or cancel last minute, or withhold information from me. I will just block you. Story 153. People's lack of action or accountability. They complain about how corrupt our governments are. They say things like, eat the rich, while making no effort to fix their own situation, let alone a bigger one like government corruption. Some of, if not most of them, are out of shape as well, so you can tell they take zero accountability for their lives. Story 154. The number of articles, widgets, videos, and ads everywhere. It's like sites are trying to squeeze as much as they can on a single page. It's hard to concentrate on anything anymore. Story 155. Group of teenagers or anyone who talk in the sidewalk where people walk. It's annoying where you need to go in a different way to just not disturb them talking in the sideway. Story 156. I recently started driving truck for a living, and the way most idiots on the road treat trucks is beyond irritating. Story 157. My kids watch YouTube Kids videos in a trance, and the content is just so stupid. It is just mind-boggling how someone came up with this garbage and thought it was good enough to subject other people to. As an example, the plot of the video I saw them watching yesterday morning was, Sonic draws a picture of Jesus in school. The teacher says the drawing is terrible. Sonic is sad. He leaves school carrying the drawing, and evil Sonic laughs at the drawing and says he disliked Jesus. A man in a white robe tells Sonic to cheer up and says he likes the drawing. Sonic arrives home to find evil Sonic has set his house on fire. The man in the white robe says because he likes Jesus, he can have his house. Sonic is happy. The whole thing was illustrated by Shoot AI renderings. And like all YouTube Kids videos ended with, if you love Jesus, your parents, chocolate, click like and subscribe. If you dislike Jesus, your sweet grandma's cute puppy, click next. Most of them aren't religious, but they are mostly shoot half-assed rehashing of fairy tales with AI voiceovers and flash animations or AI images. The quality is so poor that my kids are sort of banned from watching YouTube Kids. Story 158. When someone says something to you from another room, for example, and you respond with, what did you say? And they repeat it from the same distance. Like, what has changed for this to now work? Story 159. Lazy jerk Gen Y Z where I work. These mofos don't understand work ethic at all. Always complaining when told to help out. Fucking can't live without their phones either. Story 160. The current literary trend for new books is first-person present tense, which just isn't really my thing. Not that big of a deal, but I'm not terribly annoyed by much at the moment, LOL. Story 161. When people rant on and on about their life, like, dude, you do realize I already have enough problems of my own, right? Story 162. Lately, when I'm out in public, strangers stand like super close to me. In line at a store or in an aisle, they stand so close that I start to wonder if I am, in fact, invisible. One lady, I could feel her hot breath on my neck at TJ Maxx. Like, back the F up. Story 163. It's autumn, but the snow hasn't fallen yet. The crotch rockets are still out there being loud and obnoxious and dangerous on the roads. Time to park them and give us 6 months of quiet. Story 164. People moseying through the airport. It's like the one place where everyone has somewhere to be. If you're not in a rush, have some awareness and stay to the side. Story 165. PPL who wait for the elevator 2 inches from the door, so when folks need to exit, they have to move around them. Like, yo, take 2 steps back. You ain't going anywhere faster, and you look like a psycho. Story 166. My company uses Workday for HR stuff, and honestly, it's the bane of my fudge existence. Every time my boss asks me, can you process that through Workday? I want to scream. Story 167. Every single subreddit is either how shoot our president is or how great he is, plus autocorrect. AI is a very close third. Story 168. Choice. Individual girl boss corp femme lipstick feminists. Literally the equivalent of posting a black square on Instagram. Story 169. People telling me, get a Stark Varg. Stark Vargs are better than gas. So annoying and extremely wrong. LOL. Story 170. Surveys. After every fudge thing I do. Go to the dentist? Survey. Make an appointment? Survey. Order toilet paper? Survey. Here's the thing. Your company's metrics are not something I give a fudge about. After our transaction, our interaction should be over. If there was an issue, you will hear from me. If you don't hear from me, assume it went okay. I don't complete surveys on principle. Now, I don't have time for your benchmarking, and I don't care. Oh, and if you send a bag message to remind me if the survey I ignored, double fudge you. Story 171. Incessant perpetuation of doom. Like, yes, things aren't great in the world, and I don't want people to be ignorant to it whatsoever. But the continuous doom machine is so persistent these days that it makes it borderline impossible to stay positive whatsoever. Smile, compliment someone, lift people up, but for the love of God, stop sending me every piece of bad news that comes through during your doom scrolls. Story 172. People younger than me, 78, acting old. Get a grip, folks. Don't complain about kids these days until you've listened to their challenges. Don't say, but that's the way we've always done it. Open your mind to new ideas. Sure, we're all aging, so what? Enjoy the life you have left and quit complaining. Thank you for letting me rant. Story 173. MAGA. I didn't think the leopards would eat my face, voters, especially farmers who are now asking for a bailout. Story 174. The polarization of everything. You have to be either for something or against something 100. No nuance anymore. Everything is a soundbite. Yes, I appreciate the irony of saying that on a site with an up-down vote button. The internet has turned us binary. Story 175. The saying, it's like comparing apples to oranges. Not only are apples and oranges quite similar and easily comparable, but literally any 2 things can be compared in a vacuum. Story 176. Politics. Politics in everything. I used to come to Reddit to find funny memes to borrow. Now it's, this person is a fascist, or that person is a communist. Make Reddit funny again. Story 177. Politics. People are so butthurt by it now you can't even have any nuanced conversation without someone going off about your quote-unquote side. There's more than 2 sides on the political spectrum.